understanding of that was that it was one per block, and then if we look at a block, it's on one per side of the street. So there could actually be, in like the 500 block, there could be two.
Well, let's clear that up, because I think that that's a great, and that was.
I'm used to Zoom. Okay. My understanding was we very specifically were trying to limit no more than 6 total, and that if there was one on a block, it didn't matter sides of the street. It was that's the block, including both sides of the street. So that's my recollection.
Okay, then I obviously missed it.
Yeah, that was my recollection as well, was that it would be if both the north and south side, or east, whatever it is.
Okay, so does anybody have any disagreement with that? I think Michelle's all for that, so I think we're all in agreement on that one. Okay, and zoning doesn't seem.
And I think that's been long discussed, but just want to make sure there's one, and two, that a comfort level. But to me, it seems like that's where everybody is in terms of the C1.
Just real quick, I wanted to make sure that there's a max.
Well, I think you should make a motion to that effect so it's clearly spelled out.
Okay, so, but this is a work session, so I think we have to wait until we go into a regular meeting. That there's.
And I think, again, we need to, discuss it. That 6, is that 6 retail plus 6 marijuana, or a total of 6, possibly 3 each, or 4 and 2, or 5 and 1? Okay.
But wouldn't each space be allowed to have both? So 6 of each.
Or 6 shops total, divided however it gets divided up. Yeah, Jared.
Right now, there's only 6 commercial blocks, so
position that we have the ability or the authority to do that within our health, safety, and welfare powers, police powers, if you will, with respect to zoning. And we can tie in a nexus as some of the things that we've hit upon with respect to preserving kind of the historic downtown core or Main Street, if you will, the visibility, the impact on the neighborhoods. So I think it is within our right, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, Karen.
As long as there's, a dozen things, possible locations up there, then I really think we need to put a limit on it. I mean, you know me, I would rather have 3. I would rather have 3 viable places than 8 people coming in trying to open up a business and they're going broke and it's going to end up with 3 anyway. You know, so 6 max, I would say. And I hope we don't have 6.
Well, yeah, could you introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I don't recognize you with the map. Ah, Cecil, thank you. Oh. Right. Thank you for that distinction, Cecil. That's very helpful. So my understanding then from the board is that we want to cap it at 6 locations. Okay, then let's go ahead and, yes, but. So in theory, we would have 12, like. Right, in 6 locations. Okay. And that makes sense to me, I think. Yeah. All right, great. Any other comment on that? Yes, Tammy.
Just want to make sure that somewhere in there we're clear that there could be both. I think that's in there already, but that each location could have one of each.
I just wonder if anyone caught the humor in the Delta County Independent where it says Wild West and I'm wearing a mask.
Wrong kind of mask, Dave. Okay, then the next one is signage. And I believe the ordinance says, and correct me if I've got this one wrong too, is that they can have signage on the property and they can't like put posters on cars and billboards on cars and anything like that, that they can identify where they are within the town.
So I think that the point that we're just focusing on is that there wouldn't be off-premises kind of signage, that it would all be on-premise, if you will. So. Yeah, yeah.
8 a.m. till midnight. Any quibbles with that?
What's the hours operation for liquor stores since we're using that as a combination?
We can keep it at what the liquor stores have, or we can go ahead and cut it off at midnight.
Most users will be asleep by then.
Rating the grocery store, one of the two, but the grocery stores will all be closed, so. Right, delivery service. I know I was confused by the language of the ordinance on this one. And so, I know there's that one thing, and Michelle puts it in hers too. Section D2, page 12 and 13, about seems delivery to move product from store to store, and that doesn't make sense to me at all, versus then delivery to a residence from a store.
It's because there's two types of delivery. There would be a seller, like a wholesaler delivering to a location that sells, and then there's a location that sells that would be retail sale to a purchaser from their home. So that's what it's trying to encapsulate, that delivery is allowed. Of course, the product can be delivered to the store location, the retail location, from one wholesaler to another, and delivery can also be made from a retail location to a buyer, like a liquor store has delivery to their liquor
Right.
store, and then they deliver to their customer. Mechanisms for delivery.
Okay, but since we have no wholesalers in the town, that would just mean people outside of the town delivering to the shops, correct? Yeah. Yeah, Jerry. So there's also, never mind, the thought went away. Dammy.
So HB 19-1234 does cover delivery licenses. You have to specifically be licensed for delivery. And there's also a $1 surcharge assessed for each delivery, which goes to law enforcement related to marijuana. So I think we should have the language in there that, you know, and that I don't know if we need to be clear on this because it is in statute, but they cannot deliver out of the jurisdiction. So they couldn't even deliver to the trailer court legally. Is that correct? Yeah. So there maybe clarify that language just so people don't read. I would hate to have people look at that and go, all right, you know, we can deliver it up on Lamborn or whatever. It's not going to be the way it works.
So as far as liquor store deliveries, are they allowed everywhere?
Yes, liquor store can deliver. Liquor stores, yes, it's the same, it will be set up the same way, and that piece comes through the application and licensing part, because just like with a liquor store, they have to be licensed for delivery through the state, and then they provide us proof of that they have received that license to deliver through the state, and then we issue a license through an application process that allows them to deliver under their town license as well.
I believe in the liquor ordinance, we also required the deliver person to mark his vehicle.
Well, there's different regulations for what a liquor store can have with the name of their store. They can't have, there is a difference as far as signage. But I can't recall exactly.
Yeah, but I thought we required the vehicle to be marked as such.
And marijuana, MED says do not, because
Right.
it makes you a target.
So I think that what I'm hearing is, all really good points, frankly. We didn't want to, Corinne and I, go down the road of drafting delivery language if this was something that the board was kind of conceptually opposed to, but I think what I'm hearing is that there is a desire to include that licensing scheme. And so, you know, as per Tammy, as per the, I'm sorry. as per Jared's point, there are, you know, there is some language within this that we should go ahead and proceed with, but we wanted to hit upon the concept first and foremost.
I want to stay on. Just to be clear, that surcharge is required as far as I understand. And also, I'm sure that I would suspect that people would be concerned about deliveries to kids and so forth. My guess is these people who open these stores are going to be incredibly tight on who they deliver to, because if they mess up, they can lose their license. So I hope that doesn't come up, but I just would not see that as a problem.
The danger there is that we don't include it in the ordinance, it may not ever happen. So it's a chance you take it. No, I mean, it's either in the ordinance or it's...
Well, I think that's a fair point. My only kind of counterpoint is we're all at the table kind of dealing with this now, so does it make sense to get all of the regulations kind of in place upon adoption? So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it won't have the town license. I mean, I would say that if we're going to have deliveries, or we contemplate deliveries, we should include it in the ordinance. I have to ask a question. When you guys sell the marijuana, I don't know what you put in, what kind of container it is, but does it have a tax stamp on it or some kind of stamp that says that this came from your particular store? So if a particular automobile that was delivering was pulled over by the cops for whatever reason, he's rolled through a stop sign, he could present that and it would have to be readily available, readily recognizable. Okay.
Okay, so we're clear on delivery. We're going to include the state statutes. Application requirements and bonding. I know there was a question about cash bond versus getting a bonding agent. Yeah, that we don't want to keep $10,000 lying around the town, but it would go into the bank. So it's not like it would be sitting in our vault.
Legal's perspective would be we would much rather have a surety bond, which is usually a percentage of that the applicant wouldn't have to pay. I mean, granted, it's paperwork and not, if you're sitting on, say, $10,000 cash, maybe you're in a better position to tender that over, versus from the town's perspective, we would much rather you go to the insurance company and say, hey, look, I'd like a surety bond. That's usually kind of a fraction or a percentage of the face of the bond, and then that would be provided to the town. And from a safety standpoint, that would be what we would prefer. So.
Well, I just want to make sure that, as a finance committee person, I don't think we want to deal with, like, here's these $10,000 sitting in our finance reports that are restricted funds. It's just another pain in the butt. And it's also additional work for our finance director, too, so I wanted to keep that off the table.
So, okay, so it sounds like we're all pretty much agreed we're going to write out the part that says the $1,000 cash bond. Is there anything with the application requirements that we have questions or concerns about?
Is this the moral code part? Yeah. That was really shaky.
Is that a requirement to get a liquor license as well, to be of good moral character? So there's a metric there. Yes, Tammy.
There is one in the statute, and they're talking about it's having criminal history demonstrating honesty, fairness, and respect for the rights of others and the law. There's also a definition of bad actor in the code, so pretty self-explanatory once you read it.
So, great point by Tammy, and that is correct. The other avenue or aspect, though, is that's both a state, with liquor licensing and with marijuana, that's both a state and local standard, if you will. And so you guys could be a jurisdiction where you say, hey, look, if you have any prior felonies, we're going to consider that an evidence of a bad act, and we don't care if they're drug related or not. And there's some jurisdictions that do that with marijuana. There's other jurisdictions that say, you know, the past was the past. You've provided evidence that you're financially sound. You have, it's been a period of time, 3, 5 years, whatever it is, since you've had any sort of charges. We're okay moving forward, second chance, whatever it is, economic, benefits. We're okay, whatever it is, moving forward. So that component does allow for some local discretion.
So I'm wondering if that page 12, section F could have something like subject to criminal history as related to state statute or something like that. Just change that meaning, change that the wording a little bit in there so that it doesn't sound so judgmental, but more like it's pointing to the statute.
And I would also say, rehabilitation, if you cut off all avenues of being able to make a living after you've been convicted of something, then you're never going to be able to become a useful citizen. So I don't have an issue with, saying, 3 years, 5 years, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we want to take it on a, application by application basis, if you will. Tammy's point is a fair one in terms of having the statutory reference to good character, if you will. But I think I'd just leave it at that, and then you guys as the trustees have the decision-making abilities to kind of evaluate, and usually it's one factor, right? Because you guys are gonna be looking at location, you're gonna be looking at the bonding, you're gonna wanna ask questions in terms of where they're at, and those things could all kind of be considered.
So are we taking out the words good moral character? Okay.
Yeah, and good moral character is in the language, in the state language.
Chair.
Mayor-
I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me ask my question. You can transfer the business and whatnot, but in liquor licenses, don't we license the individual that is in charge? We don't license XYZ liquor store, we license Joe Blow.
And I believe what we were talking about last meeting was you can transfer the license with the whole business, not just swapping out the license, but it has to be the complete business. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. You can transfer the complete business, but a new owner also has to be licensed.
But you can't just sell the
Mary, I don't know where an individual can sell his license. He can sell his store, but his license is issued by the town of Paonia. And it doesn't matter, if he sold it to Joe Blow for $100,000, he still's got to go through our licensing procedures. And we can say, yes, we'll allow it to happen, or no, we won't.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, we should.
Just looking at Trustee Patterson's notes, she said that to avoid speculative license purchasing with the intent of profitable resale, that she would support a license transfer or sale only in cases where a store has been established, I'm assuming for a specific amount of time, and operating in the town. I don't know if that's, we can do that. If so, I would be for that too.
That basically.
And I don't think that the town would interfere with that transaction. But if, when that new owner comes, has to come before the board to get approval to have the license, he can own the store and own all the facilities. That's his private negotiations. But to get a license to operate, he's going to have to come back to the board. So it's really, you know, I don't know what I think you could see what, you don't want to transfer the business, but the business doesn't include the license.
And that owner would also have to be licensed through the state as well. So,
I think the main thing we're trying to prevent here is speculation on the licenses. That's number one. But the other thing too is we have this thing about I was going to say journal, formula businesses, where, and I think that there should be some reference to that formula business thing in this, so that it points to that and prevents the out-of-state people and the multi-operators and the big corporations. Because I'm with you, I really want to see, I was quoted as saying, too many people are eking out a living here. And I really want to see, this is a business opportunity. I'd really like it to see local people profiting from this business opportunity. So.
I had a question for people that know more about this than I do. And you referred to multiple state operators. When you have a situation like that, who is the license holder? Is it a corporation's president that sits in another state, or is it an individual on the premise? Well, a corporation, multiple jurisdiction operator, who holds the license in a situation like that? Well, I just wanted to, I didn't know. I just see who's going to actually be the license holder. It could be an attorney sitting in an office somewhere that's decided to take responsibility. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and one more follow-up question. You have a manager on site. Does he take equal responsibility for the operation of the business? Or can he slough it back onto the owner? Okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. The occupational tax, the charge, it's not referenced anywhere in here. Maybe it's not.
It as an occupational tax, so it absolutely will be, but,
Okay.
yeah, we have a state definition, so we'll just that.
But I think right now we're limited by Delta County not allowing us, not allowing growers to grow and sell to stores. Yeah.
Probably a little much. Probably a little much, but I have to agree with Jer, and actually talking to the town clerk over at Cedar Ridge, they're thinking about exactly the same thing. So,
I just wanted to make sure that, and Michelle mentions this too, that per transaction fee be included in this because that's what the voters passed. So, okay.
Is the transaction fee going to be have additional sales tax added to it? Are we going to have $5 and then add the sales tax? Yeah, okay.
yeah, so, yeah, all our.
So it'll be,